so what you're looking at here is some pork fat. Got that from the butcher. When you take your pigs in, always ask for it because it's got a lot of uses and it's super duper simple to render down. But in my book here, Ultimate Preserving Guide to Fill Your Pantry. Can I get close enough? Anyhow, I've got in here step-by-step directions on how you will render down your fat, either lard or tallow. Lard is pork fat, tallow is beef fat. But with that, there's different methods to do it. With this one, I am going to do it in cast iron in the oven because it requires a lot less attention from me. And I use a lot more pork fat than I do beef fat. But anyhow, this is frozen. When you get it, if you're not going to render it immediately, go ahead and stick it in the freezer. So anyhow, just get your fat here. Get it chopped up in small, manageable pieces. The smaller they are, the quicker and easier it renders. Which means it just melts down until you have the oil. And then you'll strain that, and then it's essentially self-sealing in your jars and stuff. But with this, I'll just make it small pieces. I'm thinking that this has already been cut up some. I don't remember if it was ground or not because my butcher friend is awesome. Anyhow, as you can see, I'm just going to cut this up in bitty pieces and then I'll put it right into the cast iron, which is also a two thingy because while you're rendering this down in the cast iron in the oven, it takes hours to do, but you're also seasoning your cast iron again. So if you got one that's looking a little rough, do it in that one. Because it's like a double whammy, 2 for 1. But let me get this here cut up. Okay, so you can see this cast iron's a little on the rough side. It's not so much rough as it is, you know, just not shiny like so. Anyhow, and this is hot because I cleaned it just not too long ago again. But anyhow, just throw these in there and they'll start melting from that, and I'll get this all chopped up and get it thrown into the oven. So let's get her done. Okay, so this is the directions to do this, and we're going to do it in the oven on 225 degrees, and then you got to stir it every half hour or so, just so you make sure it's all melting to be done. Okay, so you can see that this is all chopped up and put into the oven, and then you just have to stir it, and then you'll see it starting to melt. Okay, so it's been about a half hour so far. Slow process, but you can see some of the oils is cooking up in there. So just stir it up here and let it keep going. So still cooking along. You can see there's even more oil back here in the back. So we got a ways to go yet, but this is the nice thing about doing it in the oven. It heats the house, so I like to do it in the winter. And this requires hardly any attention from me. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, so you can see it's been forever. There's a good bit of oil in here, and once these is floating, that's when you know they're done. Some of them are floating, some ain't. But we're just gonna let it go for a little while longer. When you see everything floating up real good, then we're good to go. Okay, if you can see, these here's floating, and they're crunchy or different colored. So anyhow, we're going to get them strained. Now the key to this is to strain it and then strain it again. You don't want to leave any of these little floaty pieces in here for like impurities, because you want it to be a good clean lard. That way it don't go rancid on you. So let's get to straining here. Okay, so I'm going to strain it into this before I strain it into the jar. But here's my cheesecloth slash flour sack. I prefer the flour sacks over the cheesecloths most time. So I'm going to strain it into that. This is hot, so let me grab a pot holder. Now the bits of it, you know, especially if you had left the skin on, will make cracklings. And you could save those back and add them to, you know, green beans, salad, whatever. Or I don't like it because to me it's just pure fat. So I give it to the dogs. And they love it. Now doing this, I have taken and re-strained the fat again, or like let the fat cook again. But it always has like an off, like kind of burnt taste to it. So I've learned not to stress it, that it'll be fine. But yeah, so I'm gonna, ain't much left in that, but get what we can get. Okay, I poured it all into here. As you can see, finished straining it through that. Right there on the end of the island, baby. The box for the lids. Nope, right here on the end of the island, the little box of lids. Yeah. So anyhow, strain that all out. Let me see, that is a smidge over 2 cups. And then I'll pour it into the, well, normally I pour it into a pint, but I guess I'll pour it into, or a quart, but I'll pour it into a pint, I guess. So let me get a pint jar instead. Okay, so I tried to tighten it up, push off as much as I can here. So that's done. And then I'll dump these back into here, and once they cool, they'll make great dog snacks. So there's that. Mom, do you know then I'll take the same cheesecloth. Mom, do you know what you think of that? What? Do you know it's stink bugs? Yeah, there's stink bugs. 'Tis the season for that. Anyhow, same cheesecloth, just a clean part of it. And then I'll strain it again into the jar. And now lard, you know, you're like, okay, well, it's oil. Well, it does harden up and then turn like a Crisco, like a grease type thing. And I was off a little. Oh, me and my measurements. Let me see here. But yeah, you want a pure oil. And then as soon as you get the oil strained out, you know, leave a little bit of headspace in there. Okay, so as soon as that gets done, you know, wipe your rim like you do when you're canning anything, because this is so hot because it's been going for so long that it will seal itself. So it's essentially like an open kettle canning. There you go. Wipe it up real good. Place my lid, my flat that fits on it, and then get my ring. And again, mind you, very hot. And then I just set it off to the side. It'll seal, label it, and then I will have a jar of pure lard. And that is it. That's how you render down your lard. We'll do the different uses of lard and stuff, and I'll show it solidified also. But we'll do that in a different video because it takes a lot of time, and honestly, I only focus so much on one thing before I lose interest. So, anyhow, liquid lard.